Wolfgang Wondarg is our guest for at least the next 30 minutes, a very busy individual. We are honored to have him. This is a major news-making interview. He is the head of health at the Council of Europe. And we have the 47-nation body now investigating falsified swine flu pandemic, health ministers and officials being on the payroll worldwide in different countries to push the fear, the dangerous nature of the vaccine, all the deaths that were caused in the trials a few years ago of the bird flu. He's investigating it all. We salute him. They've been having their investigation the last few weeks. So here to break it down for us is Dr. Wolfgang Wondarg. And, sir, we really appreciate you coming on with us today.
Thank you that I can be with you today.
Again, tell us about just basically about the Health Council of Europe, why you started your investigation, what your investigation is finding.
Yes, I'm a physician myself, and I was director for many years of a public health institution in northern Germany, observing the flu waves coming every year. And as my region has about 120,000 inhabitants, I used to count about 10% of the population getting ill with the flu and something or symptoms of a flu almost every year. So when I observed this, what we heard last April about Mexico City, a region with 20 million people, I was very much astonished that there were only 1,000 cases when somebody already spoke about a pandemic. I didn't understand that because in my small town we had more people getting ill within 1 or 2 weeks from the influenza too, when there was an influenza. And so I started investigating, and I found out that this was due to a change of definition. WHO had changed the definition what a pandemic is. Me, as a public health doctor, I learned that a pandemic is something spreading very fast, but as the flu always spreads every year very fast, or as fast as the planes fly, so this was nothing new, and a pandemic which is really worthwhile an alarm or an alert reaction of the people of this world. This is a pandemic which has serious diseases, which goes along with very high mortality, with many deaths. And so when I heard about the Mexican cases, I was curious why they did this, because it didn't give any sense. There was nothing extraordinary. There were mild cases. It was not even a new virus. This was obvious very soon because elder people didn't get ill. People older than 60 almost didn't get ill, and this is a very clear indication for that they have already been vaccinated with a similar virus, or that they have been infected with a similar virus some years ago or many years ago. So this is so I didn't understand why this happened.
And now you've had a chance to begin your investigation. When did the council start looking at this?
Yeah, the council decided in the middle of the December, on the 11th of December, and last year there was a session on the Committee of Social Affairs and Health in Paris, and we had an unanimous decision that we want an urgent debate on the topic, because we wanted to reinstall trust in the WHO, because the population in Europe is very much astonished about this agency, because they advised us twice now, or at least twice, and they told us there's a big threat for health. It was the bird flu, where they said thousands of people may be dead, and they said it now the same way with the swine flu. So we want to reinstall health in this. We want to reinstall trust in this WHO. And this is why we wanted an urgent debate. And we are 47 countries, and in this Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, we have all the parliamentarians. We have the national parliamentarians from 47 countries. We have the opposition parliamentarians. We have the governing parties there. So if you transport a topic to this platform, you can be sure that there is a discussion 47 times in the different nations.
Okay, Doctor, not to interrupt, but we have to break. Dr. Wolfgang Wondarg is our guest, has been the head of health for the Council of Europe until late last month. Now he rotated off that post and is still an honorary member of it. Now he's a private citizen medical doctor who can now speak about this. They've been investigating it since last year. They've now started the formal investigation from a week and a half ago. And we have the quotes here from the resolution about Big Pharma pushing this. Most of the White House here the scientific experts on the payroll. They talk about it being a dangerous vaccine. The German government wouldn't take it, wouldn't give it to the troops. Our media lied and said there wasn't mercury in it. Of course, it killed a fraction of those what the regular flu does. So that's what they're looking at. So in that first segment, Doctor, we got up to the point of the formal investigation starting. What did you guys hear in testimony in the last few weeks? And then break down personally some of the statements you've made, the research of what this appears to be.
Yeah, we had the WHO was present in the first edition, and there will be a report which will be finished in June, and there will be recommendations for our member governments how to handle this problem in future, because we have seen that the governments had to ordered a lot of vaccines, and they were obliged. They made marketing commitments with pharmaceutical companies because they were threatened by specialists, by scientists, that there could be something very dangerous coming, and so they just made those contracts. And within those contracts, which were secret, which we could not see as parliamentarians, there was written that the WHO was at the trigger to say, this is a pandemic, and if they say it, then the whole business was on, and they had to take the vaccines for pandemic use. And this were about $18 billion worldwide value, and this is a lot of money in health. So we were wondering, because of this mild flu, how such an enormous waste of money could happen, and how millions of people could have been vaccinated parallelly to the seasonal vaccination, so it's a double vaccination, without any scientific evidence to do so. And there is Poland, for instance, where the health minister, she's experienced in public health, where she said, no, we don't buy this vaccine, and the Polish now are very well off. They are not vaccinated, they didn't spend the money. And in other nations, the people didn't trust. The French, for instance, they bought for 90% of the population, they bought vaccines, and only 6% took the vaccine. It's similar in Germany, and nevertheless, people are well off. This was the mildest flu ever, and the people were much more clever than the government. So we have to find out what was going on with WHO. Why did they do this pandemic alarm? And we found out that there is a public-private partnership within WHO, which developed the last 10 years, and which the very powerful pharmaceutical companies seem to have used quite well for them, for their purpose, for their shareholders, because the decisions there were the reason why they now earn so much money with this vaccine. And we don't know what really happened. We only know that they changed the definition of pandemic, which was a very dangerous thing before, and now it's just a normal flu. It's called a pandemic, and this is the reason why the business for pharmaceutical companies was open.
Well, Doctor, looking at this, and again, we're talking to the former head. He just left his post, regular rotation off of it, last month as the head of the Health Council of Europe.
I still go on cooperating with my colleague and working on this matter very intensively. So
you're still part of it. My point is this. So out of the gates, and we noticed this, they changed the definition of a pandemic. So because they knew that it was very mild and wasn't a pandemic by the old measurement, not even near. So out of the gates, we know that that is fraud. And then in the reports I've been reading, the council and yourself have been talking about that the vaccine wasn't properly tested, was approved without testing, thanks to government's declarations of emergency. That's why they went with the pandemic designation, correct?
It's true, because if the pharmaceutical companies wanted to have a real business, they have a monopoly on the vaccines. And this is what they tried by using new vaccines, using adjuvants, using new technologies to breed the virus for the vaccine. And these were patented methods, so they could monopolize it and tell the governments that this was a pandemic vaccine, a special one, which they can produce more quickly than normally. And this is what they made the contracts. And so this is the trick, how the big pharmaceutical companies had this marketing commitment.
Okay.
Normally
Go ahead.
pardon?
Go ahead.
Yeah, normally you can, if you have the virus, which is to come, you make a mixture of certain viruses you expect to come. And there are so many facilities all over the world which would be able to produce non-patented vaccines everywhere, very fast and very much adapted to the epidemiological situation. But when you do this with a monopole, when you have such a small passage only, and everything has to go through those few enterprises, it is not faster, it's not quicker. And I think it is just the wrong pandemic plans we do. We should have no patents on vaccines. This is what we think politically. The Council of Europe already had a decision on this. We said there should be no patents, no monopoles possible on life-saving vaccines.
Because, Doctor, doesn't that also incentivize the big pharma to engage in hype and hoaxes and fraud because it is a monetary driver?